Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to this session of our conference. I'm Ashhifa Roqiiqulqolby. It's my pleasure to introduce a presentation titled Challenges in Implementing Rehabilitation for Prisoners Abusing Marijuana Narcotics or Cannabis Sativa. And this important research was conducted by Suwari Akhmaddhian, Elisa Penti Yuliani, Yani Andriyani, Sarip Hidayat, and Ashhifa Roqiiqulqolby from the Faculty of Law, Universitas Kuningan, Indonesia. And now let us delve into their finding and insight. Okay, for the first, drug abuse, particularly marijuana or cannabis sativa, is a serious social and legal issue in Indonesia. According to data box from 2020 to 2024, it's 264,188 suspects were recorded and narcotics-related case, with seized evidence worth 31.87 trillion. Despite strict laws, the number of users continues to rise. Law number 35 in 2009 introduced rehabilitation as an alternative punishment, reflecting a shift from punitive to restorative justice, and rehabilitation focused on human rights, recovery, and reintegration into society, and implementation at the local level, for example, is Cipta Wening Foundation Kuningan. And reflect real condition and challenges in the field. Then is the methodology. Now let me explain the methodology used in the research. The study utilized a social legal approach. And for the data research, I use both primary data and secondary data. And firstly, primary data is interview and observation at Cipta Wening Foundation. And the secondary data is law, journals, regulation, and government reports. And the fourth analysis method is legislative and descriptive analytic to connect legal norms and real-world practice. And for the research focus is about substance, institutional structure, and social culture of rehabilitation. And then findings and discussions. Firstly, what are the regulations or rehabilitation for narcotics abuse conflict based on law number 35 of 2009? And secondly, how about its implementation at the Cipta Wening Kuningan Foundation? Firstly, we talk about regulation on rehabilitation of narcotic abuse conflict law number 35 or 2009 concerning narcotics. Firstly, for content summary, article 54, drug addict and victim of drug abuse must undergo medical and social rehabilitation. And for key implication is the state few a patient needing treatment, not criminals, imposes humanity and restorative justice approach. Next, for the content summary article is 56. Its content summary is medical rehabilitation is conducted in hospital appointed by the Minister of Health, and the community or private institution may provide rehab with fair approval. And for key implication is ensures standardized medical rehabilitation under supervision of the Ministry of Health, promotes cooperation between staff and community. Next, for content Summary. Article 58 is social rehabilitation is carried out by government and community institutions and may involve religious, traditional, and alternative methods and defines former addicts as those recovered physically and psychologically. And for key implication is strengthen social reintegration through community participation in places holistic recovery, physical, mental, spiritual, and social. Next, for the context summary, Article 103 is judges may order rehabilitation for a date, whether for quality or not quality. And rehabilitation is as a part of sentence staff. And for key implication is recognize rehabilitation as a part of legal sanction and integrating legal justice with therapeutic recovery. And then for content summary, Article 55. For minors, is parents or guardian must report them to health center or disabled rehab institution, and for adults must report themselves or be requested with implementation of mandatory reporting is regulated further by government regulation. And for Article 57 is recovery can also be conducted through religious and traditional approaches. And for the key implication is recognize cultural and spiritual dimension in rehabilitation and support inclusive and localized recovery method. And for the last, Article 127, paragraph 3. If an abuser is proven to be a victim of narcotic abuse, they are required to undergo medical and social rehabilitation. And for key implication, to focus from punishment to restoration and protection of victims and reinforce rehabilitation as human rights. Okay, next. We talk about rehabilitation for narcotic abuse at the Suwari Kuningan Foundation. Firstly, stage of rehabilitation, one assessment and intake. Secondly, counseling and classification. Third, sharing feelings or group session and post-rehabilitation. And the last, mental, spiritual, and social development. And secondly, approach used is holistic recovery with Islamic therapy and community reintegration, and focus on mental, spiritual, and social transformation rather than punishment. And for challenges in inhibiting factor is a facility limitation, is buildings and equipment not yet up to national standard, and lack of professional staff, few doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, and counselors, and the financial constraints is operational costs and daily needs often unfunded. And the lack of family involvement is many families graduation early for social stigma, addict are still reject or discriminate against, and the government coalition is minimal funding and support from local agencies. Okay, next we discussion about legal system advice of Lawrence Freeman. Firstly, is legal structure is which refers to the institution and law enforcement, but is implementing rehabilitation and condition is considered weak. And secondly, legal substance is which encompasses law, regulation, and legal policy that an Indonesian demonstrates its strong position. And for the third, legal culture, is which reflect public attitudes, awareness, and participation towards the law. It remains weak. Ladies and gentlemen, for the conclusion is rehabilitation in Indonesia is legally mandated and support human rights and restorative justice and emphasizing recovery over punishment. And the Ciptawning Foundation holistic model integrates a medical, spiritual, and social aspect. So, a positive and human-centered approach. However, challenges such as limited facilities, funding, professional staff, and family involvement and social stigma hinder its effectiveness. Stronger government support and consistent implementation are essential to ensure rehabilitation achieves its restorative goals. For the last is recommendation.
For the recommendation, the government and law enforcement must strengthen their commitment to using rehabilitation as an alternative punishment for drug abusers, conducted assessment objectively and professionally, effective coordination among the judiciary, Indonesian Narcotic Agency, and the Ministry of Health, Rehabilitation Institution, and the community is essential for a smooth and sustainable recovery process. In addition to approved rehabilitation at the Ciptawning Kuningan Foundation, the Kuningan Regency government should enhance facilities, train professionals, allocate sufficient funding, and educate participants' family to prevent premature intervention.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the presentation, thank you for your attention. We hope the research contributes to a deeper understanding and improvement of rehabilitation system in Indonesia and beyond. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Tachahau, Popey! Halo teman-teman semuanya, kembali lagi di channel aku, Faaxsyou. Itu tadi adalah sekilas video yang ingin aku bagikan saat aku mengikuti International Legal Conference di Malaysia, yaitu di Universitas Utara Malaysia. Jadi teman-teman mohon maaf ya sebelumnya, mohon dimaklumi karena sinyalnya itu buruk, jadi videonya agak sedikit nge-lag dan error. Dan makasih untuk teman-teman yang udah setia melihat video aku sampai selesai. Sampai jumpa di video berikutnya. Bye bye. Sheshe tacha.